to season 3, episode 1 of the Big at the Back podcast. We're back for a third year. Matt, how are you?
I'm not ready for this. I'm just not mentally ready for this. It's too soon. The pain of last season, the wounds are too fresh. But yeah, I'm not bad other than that. How are you?
I mean, I'm fine. I also feel like it's too soon. So I've logged in, I've had a look, I've picked a first draft team, I've looked at the fixtures, I know enough for this podcast, and then I get to not look at it again for a whole month at least. So,
well, I hope you're carrying this then, because I'm still Wimbledon's just started. It's like halfway through the cricket season as of this weekend. Top of the league, come on. But yeah, I'm just so switched off from football at the moment. Like the transfer stuff that's not exciting me at the moment. So there's not really been there's been a few decent moves, I say, but nothing big. But then like you will blink and it'll be like the deadline will be on like the next day. So should probably start thinking about it at least.
Yeah. Well, that's our podcast. Good night, everyone.
See you next week.
No, today we're going to touch on everything you just spoke about, particularly with the transfer season hotting up. But we are going to look at the launch of FPL. So we're going to have a look over prices and player prices and who the best options are, what teams we should be starting out targeting, given some of the fixtures, and also exciting new transfers that we can really get our teeth into. So let's start by looking at our current teams. Now, I've put a first draft together and I don't really intend to touch it until like a few days before the season starts. How is yours looking at the moment? Have you put one together?
Technically, yes. I guess technically, no, I haven't put it together. I've gone as far as I said this morning. I logged in. I actually completed my registration for the year this morning. I wasn't one of the people that was like trying to get a low ID because I literally couldn't care less. Let's see. I'll go and find out what it is in a minute. Then I put Haaland in.
Yeah.
And then I got distracted and was busy with work. So just before we started this pod, I've gone in and done an auto pick, and it's fantastically shit. So my auto pick squad, these are always fun, is Alisson in goal. My second keeper is Nick Pope. So two good goalkeepers. That's money well spent, I think. My 5 defenders are Virgil van Dijk, Ben White.
This sounds like mine. Like the
John Stones.
Yeah.
João Cancelo.
He was in
mine. And one I will almost definitely be keeping when it comes to start of the season, Reece James. I'm ready to be hurt again. My 5 midfielders are Phil Foden, Raheem Sterling, your new boy Dominic Szoboszlai, Anthony, and James Maddison. And my 3 strikers are Watkins, Wilson, and Jesus. That's a good front 3. But there are no premiums in that. So, it's shit.
Cool. So I actually have put a first draft together. So maybe we'll go into that because that could be slightly more in line with what it looks like at the start of the season. Now, I've got a dilemma because I think after last season, you can't not have Harry Kane in there, but he could move over to Bayern Munich, in which case this team will look drastically different if that's still on the cards. But for now, my first draft has Pickford in goal. First 3 fixtures for Everton are good, and he's a 4.5 keeper. A back 3 of Trent Alexander-Arnold, because Trent. Then Henry and Botman. So Henry for Brentford, Botman for Newcastle. 5 across the middle of Saka, Bruno Fernandes, Mitoma, Mbemo, and Cisco. We can go into one of them in a bit of detail. And then up top, I've got Kane captain and Kane and with the vice and Haaland with the captain's armbands. Now, if Kane moves on, then that is subject to change. But I've seen so few drafts with Harry Kane, and everyone seems to be saying, "Oh, Haaland or Salah or both." Harry Kane was criminally underrated last season, and I don't want to make that mistake again. Now, I haven't braved the Reece James. I'm not sure how I feel about that. If I can find an extra 1 million downgrading on Cisco, perhaps, but that's not a conversation for right now, I don't think.
I mean, I'm sure you can find a way to do it because let's be honest, everyone wants Reece James. He's had a price drop. He's the best defender in the world. You might as well just go straight swap for Trent because he's better than Trent. It's interesting because a lot of people are banging on the Trent drum. I think he's only worth 8 mil if he's going to be playing in midfield, and that remains to be seen.
I think you're wrong.
Well, he's just 8 million for a defender is just too much. And he's just if he goes into midfield, he's a no-brainer. His first name in. But I just think as a defender, 8 mil is it's not worth it for me.
2 seasons as a defender, he got 230 points. As a defender in FPL, he can pick up the clean sheet points, and he will still get a shitload of assists and a shitload of goals from that midfield position. In the last, I think, 10 games of last season, he got like 12 attacking returns. Trent Alexander-Arnold in his hybrid role in midfield is the best pick in the back line. I would pay 9 million for him as a defender.
Oh, fuck off, grow up. That is the most ridiculous claim I've heard in a long time.
Rashford is 9 million. I think Trent will get more points than Rashford this season on FPL.
Oh, that I'm making a note of. What time? How far in are we? 7 minutes in. I'm clipping that.
Clip it for the end of the season. Let's see if you remember.
I will definitely not remember, but at least if I've written it down somewhere, I've got a chance.
I think Trent is going to get a hell of a lot of points on FPL this year as a defender, and I think he's fully justifies in the 8 million price.
In that case, why is Trippier not 8.5?
Because in the second half of last season, Newcastle forgot how to keep clean sheets.
That is true.
And let's be honest.
But how many clean sheets did Liverpool keep last season?
Didn't matter because Trent got attacking returns. It's looking at how they ended the season, not how they started the season. Trippier had a phenomenal start, then completely nosedives for the second half of the season. Trent had the other way around. So terrible for the first 2/3, but in that final third, he was sensational.
Like the thing is, I could understand if after 21-22 he went up to like an even higher price, but he underperformed by over 50 points last season compared to his prior season. So why has he jumped up again in price? It makes no sense to me.
Because of his new position in the team, he is going to be quite clearly the way Liverpool are playing. He's going to be moving into midfield a lot more, and since he started doing that, his points per game has skyrocketed. He's like
that I understand. That's why I'm saying if he is playing in that midfield role, yes, 8 mil bargain, get him in. Yeah. But if he's still always a right back,
so
no, I'm not touching him with a barge pole.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure he will still be in that midfield role. Okay, so I thought you meant midfielder and FPL, which is why I got confused.
No.
He will be playing in that hybrid midfield role. If anything, there's a good chance if we get another centre back, he could push up to midfield. But the idea is,
does Klopp need to prioritise signing a new right back?
No, he needs to prioritise signing a new centre back so that we can have 3 centre backs and Trent in a hybrid role. We need a left centre back to basically take Andy Robertson's place in the team.
Poor Andy Robertson.
I mean, he was shocking last year. So, I love Andy Robertson, but last year was not very strong for him.
Yeah, it's interesting to see how... I mean, Liverpool obviously had a poor season as a whole last season. The old Klopp 7th season syndrome struck. But you'd like to think that they bounced back, done some interesting business so far. I'm sure there'll be more to come as well.
Yeah, Liverpool, by everyone's account, had a terrible season last season, and we still finished, 5th, 6th? So a normal season would be finishing top 4, realistically, given the quality of the team. And given the signings, I would confidently back us to get into the top 4 this season. So I think Trent's going to pick up loads of points. I think he's a bit of a no-brainer when it comes to FPL.
Yeah. Speaking of, is it worth just discussing the players that have changed position in FPL this season?
Yeah, so let's have a look at some of them. So the one in my team is Brian Mbeumo. So he was a striker last season in FPL. I kind of meme transferred him in for the last 3 games of the season, kept him on a bench for a massive haul, and then I had him for 2 more games. Where
I'd just like to point out that I was the person that convinced you to bring him in.
You were, but it was a meme, and also you didn't follow through and do it yourself. So
no, I don't follow my own advice because normally it's shit. But
let's see if we can change that this season. But yeah, he was really good towards the end of last season. There's no Ivan Toney. Mbeumo against the big teams will probably play in that striker position. Against the smaller teams, more play out on the left. However, I still think as a midfielder, he's great value in FPL.
Yeah, especially with Ivan Toney, like you say, obviously missing for quite a bit of the season. It just makes him a much more enticing prospect. So it'll be interesting to see how they go because they've also got quite a good run at the start of the season. Spurs first up, but then 3 after that are Fulham, Palace, and Bournemouth. So there's a good chance for a few early points there.
Yeah. 2 players that have swapped positions in FPL, and I'd love to get your take on this, are Gakpo and Jota.
I think it makes sense. It just seems to be the right way round between those two. It definitely makes... And this is all dependent on how Liverpool are going to line up for a lot of this. And it's hard to know in these first few games of the season. Pre-season will give you a slight inkling possibly, but even then, it's always hard to tell. But Jota as a midfielder is quite tempting. When we spoke about this last year, it's just him as a forward made it so much more difficult to warrant bringing him into your team. But when you've got 5 midfielders, and if he gets off to a good start and gets a good run in the team, there's no reason he won't be in quite high consideration for me.
I completely agree. The problem is, I think Klopp, well, he's going to play Mo Salah on the right. Then on the left, I think he does really like Luis Diaz there. I don't think Luis Diaz is being touched on the left-hand side. So that means you've got Jota, Darwin, and Gakpo all competing for that centre spot. Now, arguably, Gakpo could play a little bit further back in midfield, but we've just signed 2 new midfielders, so I'm not sure that he would. So you've got 3 really, really good players competing for that forward spot. Whoever gets it, I think, is worth a look in on our FPL teams. But until we get it, it's not really worth having that discussion.
It's about time he just dropped Salah, really. We all know he's shit. One season wonder.
It's going to be Salah's last year at Liverpool, I think. Realistically, he's got 2 years left on the contract now. We'll cash in next year, whereas he moves over to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in the next 12 months with the Saudi league. But I mean, yeah, he's 31 now. By the time, obviously, next year ticks around, he'll have just turned 32. So just as your powers are probably starting to wane a little bit, he's not going to then get another... By the time his contract's up, he'll be 33. He's not going to get another big contract. So, yeah, it does make sense for Liverpool to try and cash in at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Really interesting team to talk about on FPL are Manchester United, in particular the price drop for Bruno Fernandes. 8.5 million he's starting out this year. What are your thoughts?
That's a big drop. And probably more of a drop than I expected. I was probably expecting like 9.5, maybe 10. But yeah, that makes it very tempting. And if United, obviously he didn't have his greatest season in the United shirt last year. They've got an all right run at the start of the season, but I think it's around sort of game week 6 where they start to really get a good run of fixtures together. He is very tempting at that price. If he can find the form that he did in his first sort of 18 months to 2 years as a United player, he will be a bargain this year.
Completely agree. Yeah, in his first 18 months, he joined in January, got 117 FPL points. Then the season after, 244. So for someone that's 8.5, the problem is the last 2 seasons, he really hasn't shone. But he's on penalties for Manchester United. I mean... Mason Mount joining probably doesn't help him all that much, to be honest. But if United sign a striker, then I think Bruno Fernandes is going to excel. And the amount of chances he created that were just completely fluffed by Anthony last year. It's ridiculous. So if they get someone that can actually put the ball in the back of the net, he could easily go past the 200 mark again.
It did seem as though at points last year he was like doing everyone else in the team was doing everything else they could to not let him get any returns. So you'd like to think the tide will turn at some point.
Yeah, you'd think so. What do you think about Rashford at 9 million?
He's always going to be there or thereabouts with a shout, isn't he? He's probably slightly better value than Bruno still for me. But that's because the position he plays and the form he was in the back half of last season. He maybe tailed off in the last sort of 5-6 weeks of the season. But if he's fresh, fit and firing, then I still think he's a good price.
Let's compare then, because they're coming in at around the same price as the Arsenal midfielders. So Saka at 8.5 is really underpriced, I think. But you also got Odegaard at 8.5 and Martinelli at 8 million. So I really like how they've done this with the pricing and made it really difficult. Saka ended on 202 points last year. Odegaard just above that. Martinelli around the same as Odegaard. So 3 wonderful options. Now they've signed Declan Rice. What are your thoughts on the Arsenal assets?
Can they put a run together like they did last season? That's the big question. To have 3 midfielders all around the 200-point mark is an incredible amount of consistency across the team. They shared all the goals and assists around, which for a lot of teams doesn't happen very often. It tends to be 1, maybe 2 that really hog the limelight. And obviously it helped from that perspective that Jesus was out injured for quite a while because they could be a little bit more fluid in their formation. If Jesus was fit for most of the season, you're probably looking at Martinelli, his points return dropping down quite a lot. I think Rice is going to help them out in terms of the solidity and breaking up play and maybe launching attacks going forward. But I don't know, like you've got to assume they're not all going to have the same amount of points this year, and probably Martinelli will be the one that suffers most.
Yeah, now he's got a rotation with Trossard as well. You've just got to think that maybe he's not going to get as much game time this year around.
Yeah.
Defensively, I think Trent is an easy name, but I'm not sure who else you could possibly be looking at as a solid defender. Now, Botman at 4.5 seems very, very obvious. But who else is tickling your fancy?
One that I'm sort of keeping an eye on is Max Kilman. So Wolves defender, he got just over 100 points last year, but there's a lot of transfer rumours bubbling under around him. I think Brentford are looking at him potentially, and he's also been linked with someone else who I can't remember off the top of my head. I should have done some research. But I was looking around this morning, and he's one that if he does get a good move, he could be worth keeping an eye on. Brentford always seem to do all right defensively, but like I said earlier, they've got a decent run at the start of the season. So your likes of Ben Mee or Rico Henry even. But I just feel like there's no one stands out for me at the moment, and it's difficult.
Yeah, I agree.
Obviously, you're always going to have the Arsenal defenders did well last year. Can they carry that on again?
Luke
They've
Shaw
signed Timber from Ajax. Luke Shaw again. Like
5.5. I'm not
scream at me.
No.
And then you've always got James and Chilwell just sort of there, just in the background, lurking, going, "Go on, do it. Go on, do it."
You know what? I think I probably will.
Yes.
I think I am ready to get hurt again, and I will get Reece James. Although I can't. First game of the season against Liverpool. Have I learned anything?
James captain.
Do I bench Reece James against Liverpool?
James captain, mate. Get the armband on him.
One player I think could do very well at his new club is James Maddison. However, I think he could do well in a footballing sense. On FPL, it makes Kane a better option, I think. Discuss.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah, I think it's a great bit of business for Spurs. He's obviously a fantastic player. he still managed to have an all right season despite injuries and in a team that went down. So, in and amongst better players, you'd like to think he'll stand out a bit more. But yeah, I do think he makes Kane a more tempting proposition. The only problem is he's battling with another player that's changed position, and that's Richarlison's down as a midfielder this year. So surely you'd rather go Richarlison as your Spurs midfielder, no, Tom?
That's my internal screaming noise. I know it's frustrating. I will probably do it at some point this season.
Yeah, you will.
I know that, and I already know exactly how that's going to go. I'm going to bring him in. He's going to get a yellow card. He's going to do nothing, and then he's going to sit on my bench for weeks, and I won't be able to move him out because I'll have other priorities. I already hate the fact that I'm going to do it, but I am going to do it.
I love it. It's going to be great.
On a more positive news, I'm Chelsea's striker Nkunku, someone that was absolutely awesome in the Bundesliga last year, actually with Sublak. However you say that, oh God, this is going to be an awful season, isn't it?
He's signed for your team. How can you not know how to say it?
I can't get it out. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. The midfielder Liverpool have signed from Salzburg. But those two combined really well last season. And Nkunku looked really, really, really good when you watched him play. I think he could be a really exciting option for Chelsea under Pochettino. Also, Raheem Sterling at 7 million. I'm kind of tempted.
No. He's not someone you can have in at the start, is he? Let's be honest.
No, because we don't know who he's starting. If we know who he's starting every game, then I think Raheem Sterling at 7 million could be an absolute bargain.
I'm not sure he strikes me as a Pochettino player.
Really? High work rate?
Is he, though? He runs around a lot, but I wouldn't say he's got high work rate.
I think high work rate, just very little actual final ball, final delivery, or final. He's not clinical at all, is he?
Yeah, and the thing is that again with Chelsea, fucking Chelsea, man, they've just got so many players. So, like, if I just look at Chelsea as a club on FPL, it's just like right. Sterling, Gallagher, Fernandes, Pulisic is leaving. It looks like he's off to Milan. Ziyech obviously probably leaving as well if he. I don't know what's happening. Did he fail a medical? Did he want more money? Did the club try and offer him less money? Who knows? Then you've got Mudryk and Madueke as well. Like they're all going to be options in those sorts of wide places. What about Romelu Lukaku? Get him in. Go on. I dare you.
I was going to say, what about a 7 million forward with over 100 Premier League goals playing for one of the biggest clubs in the country? Oh, also, he's shit.
Yeah, he's not. He's just not going to be. Well, it looks like they're trying to finalise a move back to Inter, but obviously the finances need to be agreed first.
Yeah. I'm looking at the start of the season. I've got Pickford in my goalkeeping position at the moment, which I think is reasonable because their first 3 fixtures for the season are Fulham at home, or first 4, Fulham at home, Aston Villa away, Wolves at home, Sheffield United away. And my thinking is they'll have had the summer under Dyche and Pickford will pick up save points. Dyche will shore up the defence. Pickford gets save points. I think is the obvious 4.5 keeper. That aside, though, the teams you should be looking at are Arsenal with the first 3 of Forest, Palace and Fulham. Brighton with the first 3 of Luton, Wolves and West Ham. Easy game that without Rice. And I would say arguably, depending on how the manager does, because I, at this point, don't really rate him, Manchester United, Wolves, Tottenham away, and Nottingham Forest at home. That manager comment was about Tottenham, if that wasn't clear.
Yeah, I think you've just looking at the first set of fixtures, you've got to have 3 City, but it just depends who they are because 2 of their first 3 are newly promoted teams. Newcastle's the third one in there, which will be tough. But then after that, it's Fulham at home, West Ham away, Forest at home, Wolves away. That is a seriously good run of fixtures to start the season with. I swear City always just get like a good run at the start.
Yeah, every single year. Whereas On the other hand, I think the one team that you want, well, two teams actually you want to hard avoid are the two teams alphabetically at the bottom, West Ham and Wolves. West Ham without Rice will be cut through like a knife through hot butter. I don't think you can go near them. Wolves are possibly, they're of the remaining teams from last season, Wolves are the worst team in the league. So
and seemingly with no money to reinvest as well.
Yeah, they've just cleared all their debts, having let Ruben Neves and that centre back go. So yeah, they're an absolute. You don't go near Wolves for the start of the season, especially with those opening fixtures.
Yeah, West Ham. I don't know how we're gonna. We're still obviously we're gonna have to reinvest the Rice money. It depends how well we do that. There's a few names being bandied around, but yeah, we need to.
You don't still think about Paulinia, do you?
He's still another one that's being knocked, that's being bandied around. Obviously, Fulham will want a fairly hefty fee, I would imagine. It's always the way when you sell a player for a lot of money, clubs will try and up their prices because they know you've got the cash now.
Yeah, completely. Speaking of upping their prices, Brighton asking for over 100 million for Caicedo. They're obviously pissed off about the McAllister for 35 million thing, so they're taking it all out in Chelsea. I'm here for it.
And Caicedo did sign a new contract, so they've got that in their back pocket.
Yeah, I don't know why he signs a new contract, considering that he obviously wanted to leave.
I'm assuming there's some sort of gentleman's agreement that sign a new contract so we can get more money for you and we'll let you go as long as we someone meets that valuation. That's the only thing I can think of.
Or a release clause of some kinds,
perhaps? Potentially. It's obviously going to be a very big one if they're wanting 100 million.
Yeah, you'd expect so. Looking at the opening fixtures, actually, aside from the Tottenham game, Brentford are definitely a team we could be buying in on.
Newcastle have a tough run to start with.
Yeah, you're not going near any Newcastle assets until at least game week 6, are you? When they've got Sheffield United away.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've got the money to spend. Every signing that they've made pretty much since the Saudi money come in has proven to be, if not a roaring success, at least pretty damn good. Mm-hmm. So you have no reason to think that they'll go any worse. Obviously, they brought Sandro Tonali in, who will shore up that midfield a little bit as well. So I think that could be a very good bit of business for, I think it was about 70 million, which was about the same as they paid for Isak.
Yeah, and he's a really, really good player. I am not sure how I'm going to be lining up on FPL or how the league is going to look, but why don't we do a little bit of pre-season predictions, guessing game on where people are going to end up. Now, these are not our official predictions. We're waiting until the season, just before the season starting to make them. But if you're going
transfers done, and
yeah, if you were going to say now top 4 and relegation, who would you be looking at first for Man? I assume you'd go Man City. That's what I.
No, Luton.
Okay,
first they're gonna perform a miracle.
So first Man City, but who would you go for the rest of the top 4?
I think Arsenal will maintain and they'll get in the top 4, whether they're second or not. I think the rest of the top 4 will be Arsenal, Liverpool, and United.
Yeah.
I think Newcastle just drop out.
I agree that Newcastle drop out. I agree that Arsenal stay in as well. So the last place is going to be between United, Spurs, and Chelsea and Newcastle. I think under Poch, actually, it's not going to be United. It's going to be Chelsea. I think Casemiro is a year older. His legs are going to go halfway through the season. I think Mason Mount is a joke of a signing. And I think Chelsea are making enough moves that they could sneak in. I think and this is pre-season predictions, I think City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea would be my pick.
I might get Mason Mount in my team just to wind you up and watch him return, get loads of points.
I mean, that's just not going to happen. So please get him in and then I'll just laugh at you. Shall we chat then about relegation? Because I think it's boring to say the 3 teams that came up are going to be the 3 teams that go down, especially as that didn't happen at all last season. I think there's quite a lot of championship level teams in the Premier League right now. So Going down, bottom is West Ham.
It's not very nice, is it?
I think Luton go straight back down for obvious reasons. I think Nottingham Forest could get caught and go down. And I think Wolves will finally see their end as well.
Annoyingly, that was going to be the exact 3 I was going to pick. So I will mix it up and I will say all 3 promoted teams stay up. That's my bold claim.
I like it.
Kenilworth Road will become a fortress this season in one of its last seasons as the home of Luton Town. And I'll throw Bournemouth in as second season syndrome. So Bournemouth and Forest both to go down.
Hadn't thought of Bournemouth as second season syndrome. Yeah, that is a real thing. Are we being too kind to Everton?
I think with Daesh in, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
But as much as I'd like to see him down in and around a relegation scrap again, they probably will be in the conversation, but I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, actually, especially with Daesh. And I think he's got enough to actually get them up to about 12th place finish. So...
we can dream, though.
We can dream and we can hope, but it seems a little way off yet. I do think West Ham are in real trouble of being in and around there as well. Without Rice and with the Europa League draining your players, it could be a very difficult season for you guys.
Tell me what about, mate. Massive Europa League final coming in, and then we'll probably end up, I don't know, 6th.
I did like that Dom Solanke on FPL was more expensive than Antonio this season. Dom Solanke 6.5, Antonio 6.0.
Skamaka is a 6 as well. If he gets fit.
I'll tell you who could be a really good option. Dominic Calvert-Lewin for 6 million.
Could he?
No. No. I mean,
if he's fit for more than 2 games in a row ever, maybe.
Which won't ever happen, will it? We can hope, we can dream. A bit of news from the Championship as well. Did you see that Leeds had a new manager in?
Daniel Farker.
What a great appointment. Here's my prediction. I think Leeds bounce straight back, winning the Championship.
My prediction is that Daniel Farker will still have the most ridiculous voice for a football manager that has ever existed. He's got like the most polite little German accent. I love it.
I love it as well. But yeah, I think win the Championship, get straight back into the Premier League, and I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'm going to have a look at the odds.
Ooh.
That's another thing that we need to remember we've discussed this season is our bet at the back betting fund. Bet at the back.
I think that's more fun.
Soccer outright.
So the Andy Murray bet from earlier isn't doing too badly. That's still going now. Outrights. So we're not looking at the English Premier League. We're looking.
Leicester are 9-2 favourites.
Don't like it.
Leeds 8-1. Southampton 8-1.
Don't like it. Middlesbrough there as well. I really don't like Leicester as the pick. I think. I just don't like it. There's something fundamentally wrong with that club.
Kelechi Iheanacho to score 40 goals.
Leicester to win the Championship.
Thought that might change your mind a little bit.
Well, without James Maddison, I guess they've still got Harvey Barnes though, haven't they?
There's a boost on there at the moment. You can get Leeds at 9-1.
It's just no difference at all, is it? Oh, there's odds on what club will Harvey Barnes be playing for next season. West Ham, the clear favourites.
Yeah.
Then
I'd be pretty happy with that.
Then Leicester is 8-1. So Barnes is obviously on the way out. Villa, Tottenham, Liverpool in there as well. I would not be happy with that.
Where is it? There we go. Yeah, I'd be pretty happy. I'd definitely take him. Be interesting to see what we do transfer wise if anyone leaves as well. Obviously, the squad needs probably a little bit more bulking out to deal with Europa League. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting season. I'm still not ready for it though.
I can't wait to bring in Mitrovic for the game week 5 game against Luton. Then he'll get sent off.
I really hope that happens.
Well, it's going to happen. I feel like this season is going to be, okay, who's playing Luton? Who's playing Wolves? Okay, let's transfer the most likely goal scorer in every single week.
Go on, do it.
Mitrovic, game week 5. Let's go. That's going to be horrendous. Regardless, we are looking forward to a fun season ahead. That's all we will cover today because we're both completely out of shape and completely rusty. You can find us on Instagram Threads.
No, you can't.
You will maybe be able to find us by the time this pod is uploaded on Instagram Threads because we're trying to.
That's Tom's job.
At Big at the Back.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Higgins92, and Tom is, of course, at TomMadden92.
Do the threads. Do the threads.
And all right, threads. I'm at _Hig on threads.
I don't know what I am.
It's whatever your Instagram handle is.
Yeah, I don't know what I am. At Thomas Madden 92. There you go.
At Raging Nonce Madden 92.
Exactly that.
At Mr. I Fuck Kids.
This is not going to be allowed on YouTube, is it? For fudge's sake.
Well,
we might as well get ourselves banned now. COVID-19 pandemic conspiracy. There you go. That's nice.
I blame 5G.
Bill Gates' World Health Order robots. Right. We'll jump off before we descend into madness. Thanks for whoever.
What do you mean before? It's too late, Tom. We've got another whole year of this to come.
Oh, right. Thank you. If you're still listening, why? But thank you. And we will be back with more podcasts as the season comes up. See you all soon.